There we go. For those of you who are just joining, you missed our introduction, our talk tonight about pumps technology. We just finished a gentle grounding practice and really nice to see everyone across the country. Really here to share the experiences. And I invited several people to talk about different topics. And if I'll just highlight them real up front, Eggles will join us in a moment just to give us a top line. Eggles is an endocrinologist in Connecticut. He attended our first retreat in New York last year where we all met up and has been a daily sitter with us in the mornings. And just fresh back from the ADA will kind of just give us a little crystal ball perhaps into future technologies and what's coming down the pike a little bit. And then after that, we'll invite Jan to step up. And Jan is a wonderful member of our community, sharing her experiences with Eversense, which is a new CGM that many people are interested in. And we'll have time to break out and have further conversations, but she'll top line some of that information. And then Alan will join us. Alan works for Tidepool, also a member of the Sangha that joined us at the West Coast retreat not too long ago in Lacey. So he'll give us some insights into Tidepool and that algorithm, and we'll be available for questions in the breakouts. And then we'll switch over to Tandem X Control IQ with Robin, who's going to be joining us at the retreat in New York. Also, just finished some course on mindfulness, a new member of the Sangha. Welcome, Robin. And Jim. And Jim is also a new member of the Sangha, joining us from Seattle. And he'll be working he's part of the DYI community looping and a member of that for many years. So he can talk about the community experience and also be available in the looping breakout as well. So that's kind of the structure for tonight. So Eggles, can I invite you in? And for all the speakers, I know you could probably talk for 20, 25 minutes easily. But we'll keep it to top 5 minutes, about 5 minutes, so we can spend the time not to rush it, but just to kind of spotlight it. Perhaps tell us in Eggles, he's going to talk about new technology, but for those that are talking about your technology, highlighting your experience with it, the 2 or 3 things you'd love people to take away this evening. Maybe present one or two of the challenges in using your technology, and that would be great. And then we'll move into conversation and then breakouts. So, Eggles, if I could hand this
Sounds
over to you,
good.
that'd be
Sounds
awesome.
good. So, for those of you that don't know me, I've had type 1 for myself for 45 years and been practicing endocrinology for 35. And I tend to go to the American Diabetes Association scientific sessions, the yearly meeting every year, and it's usually we're not in the news. And this year we were. I'm not sure if you caught it, but the head of the NIH was scheduled to give the keynote address, and the editor-in-chief of Diabetes Care, which is the American Diabetes Association's own magazine or journal, wrote an editorial, pretty much saying about one brushstroke ruined years of research and potentials for cures, et cetera, et cetera. Commenting on what the NIH has done in the past, including the DCCT and these massive trials, and what was scheduled to be done. And he was handing out the copies of this editorial, and the American Diabetes Association threw him under the bus, called the cops, and they were escorted, including one of the prior presidents of the ADA was escorted out. And I spoke to him the next day, and he said that he suspected that they were simply afraid that the government would take away the ADA's nonprofit status. So, not to get political, but this was a really, unexpected, but a good thing because it put the cuts to the NIH research on the news nationwide, and people are talking about it. His editorial got, I think, a couple of hundred hits before that day, and since then it's gotten more than 190,000 uploads. So, and the diabetes research is in the on the front page and in the news. I saw the first night was a screening of a film done by Blue Circle Health, which is one of the nonprofits funded by the Helmsley Foundation. Diabetes Sangha is another one. There was a nice slide of all the nonprofits backed by the Helmsleys. But this film was really a film that's going to be shown, or hopefully will be sent to all of our legislators, because it had people like you and I speaking to the camera saying, I've had type 1 diabetes for 45 years. Why do I have to get a prior authorization for my insulin or my pump every 2 or 3 years? And it's the kind of thing that insurance companies should see, but they probably won't care too much about it. But our legislators should see it, so we need to send it to them. As far as the science, there also was a lot of science. It was a great year for um, delaying or possibly preventing stage 3 type 1 diabetes. And for those of you that, all of you in this room, all of us in this room are stage 3 type 1. This staging has been, or the nomenclature has been in place now for about 8 years, but nobody knows about it. Doctors don't know about it. There's a stage 1 where you have antibodies but normal sugar, stage 2, antibodies and borderline like prediabetes sugars, and stage 3, which is clinical type 1 diabetes like we all have. So you've probably heard about teplizumab, which is used for stage 2 to possibly delay it, but there are a lot of other players that are going to be coming out soon. So for right now, I think if there's one take-home point I'd like to make tonight, that is have all of your kids, all of your siblings, possibly your parents, all of your friends, all of your relatives screened for islet cell antibodies. Go to askhealth, askhealth.org, which is the Barbara Davis Center. It's free, and they'll check anybody. Doesn't matter what the age is, doesn't matter what the risk factors are, doesn't matter if you're young, old, type 1, not type, family, nobody in the family. They just want to get people screened because there are about 300,000 people in America right now that are eligible for this disease modifying drug, if you will. So screen everybody and screen early. If you have kids, 2 and 6 are the greatest ages to screen. But if you have a sibling that's 45 years old, screen them because about 90% of type 1 diabetes happens after the age of 20. So what else was there? You're going to hear about details about the pumps. Some of the cool things that I picked up was that I wear the Omnipod. The Omnipod has been losing signal. If my Dexcom's on the opposite side of the body, the new Omnipod is not going to be doing that. You're going to be able to pick it up, on contralateral sides of the body. As far as other stuff for those of us that have type 1 already, I'm starting to use that line. If those of you that haven't seen it, you got to see The Human Trial, and that is a documentary that was done a few years ago, and the director of it has type 1 herself, and she starts the first scene. She's doing a finger stick, and she says, "There's a old joke in type 1 diabetes: the cure is 5 years away." And I heard that 45 years ago. You've probably all heard it many, many times. But I'm starting to actually tell people that there will be a cure in their lifetime. Young people that are coming in, let's say 20, 25, 30, whatever. I say there will be a cure in their lifetime and possibly 5 to 10 years. So stay tuned. I got a very, very optimistic recharge of the batteries this year at ADA. And I think I'll stop there. But as the conversation goes along, I'm sure more and more stuff will come out.
All right, Eccles, thanks so much. Really appreciate that. And great advice for all of us about the testing. A lot of us are not familiar with that and how important that may be for family members. And I know some interest in definitely what's coming down the pipe, but clearly hearing that a cure is in reach, which we all are hearing more and more today, different ways to address living a good life with T1D is in reach. That's really helpful and supportive. If I can, why don't we, if you have any questions for Eggles, you can certainly put them Q&A, and again, we'll try to make sure that we get to Q&A. But Jim, I'd love to invite you up because we do have some looking at the poll. There's definitely a chunk of us who are looping, myself included. And I know, Jim, you've been part of the do-it-yourself community, and we had a conversation today, and I've learned, it's not just loop, but different algorithms. But I'd love if you could focus on a little bit the community looping and maybe one or two takeaways about how this can be really helpful and maybe some of the challenges for folks who may consider looping. What
Uh,
it is actually.
sure, Peter, thanks. So, hey, everybody, I'm really glad to be here. I discovered this group from some other Zoom meeting. Someone mentioned to me, hey, you need to check this group out. So, it's fantastic. I had signed up before Peter and I had talked. I've had T1D for 31 years, got it at the age of 39, and have no one else in my family, like many of us, with it. I did shots for probably 19 years, like many of us or more, and got an Omnipod Euros Dash and immediately went to the DIY community when I heard about it. And I heard about it at I forget, probably I want to say 2018, one conference, the TCOID guys. And that's where I heard the most about DIY and said, wow, I got to try it. So I've been doing it since then, um, aside from a couple of clinical trials that are participated in, the 670G and the Omnipod 5, but and have loved it. Now, I'm right now doing Trio, which is based on a different algorithm than Loop. There are two main algorithms, and I'm not going to get into a lot of technical detail, but one is kind of based off of the OpenAPS algorithm, and then there's the Loop algorithm. I've done both. I've done a lot of Loop. I love Loop, and but recently changed over to Trio because I just can't keep my eyes off of bright, shiny objects. It's Of those, there are also some other algorithms. There's an Android APS, there's a IAPS. I don't know that much about those communities, but the Trio and the Loop community is quite robust with lots of support. And they have open mic meetings twice a month where you can step in, come in, ask any question you want. Um, Run by people who really know what they're talking about. The algorithms, well, first of all, how many do we have that are doing loop? Or because I sure don't want to repeat myself, it's a lot. Okay, all right. Um, they're One of the probably greatest achievements in the DIY community is getting rid of the need to have a Mac computer. So you can now install Loop or Trio and probably most without having to have a Mac computer. It's all done through what's called a browser build. The initial setup of that is a little, um, it takes some time and you got to pay attention. But after that, you don't really have to do much of anything other than just rebuild every once in a while, which takes a little bit of time through really the press of a button. These algorithms are different. Loop is a little bit more carb centric. It requires more accurate carbs. It's really looking, making adjustments based on what it thinks the blood glucose is going to be out a ways, out a bit. Whereas Trio is more forgiving of inaccurate carbs and is much more interested and what it needs to do to get the blood sugar to target. So, because of that, you'll find in the Trio group some folks using it with unannounced meals and not bolusing at all. Now, their time in range is okay, but still, Trio and Loop work best with the good old-fashioned pre-bolusing, trying to get carbs as accurately as you can, and those fundamentals always work better. Um, what's new in both of them? They're both Loop and Trio. I'm not sure about the others. Um, the Omnipod 5 and the Mobi have been reverse engineered. They're not ready for prime time yet, but that's good news, especially for us Dash users, because there have been some issues with the Dash. So being able to go to Omnipod 5 to me is a bonus because you have the option of two different algorithms to use if you want to take a break from the open source community. Um, in addition to that, um, a slew of CGMs are can be used, but the most exciting news is there is now a branch, and soon it will become more common for Eversense, for the Eversense CGM. So that's really very exciting in the Loop community. Let me see. I think I only have about a minute or so left. So why do I like it? A lot of flexibility. I really do like the flexibility in terms of the settings, the targets that I can set, many different, well, unlimited number of what I call presets that you can have for different situations in your T1D life. And and in terms of Trio, I think it seems to be a little bit more aggressive for me in my catching my spikes. So let me see. I think Peter, I guess is that kind of what you
Yeah,
hear?
no, I think that's great. And if I could just add one or two things, Jim, I believe Loop and Trio are for iOS, right? They
Yes,
work
thank you.
they work with
Yes, yes.
iOS. And what you'll find in my own experience, and I know there's a lot of people with great loop experience here, is the ability to fine tune, to be able to have perhaps a larger range that you can set. The settings are, quite interesting as it's not FDA approved, but it is community approved. If I can say that, it might even be safer at some extent, but they're able to get things, make changes quicker than going through FDA approval, but something to know. But from my own experience and others that are here and talking to Jim, a lot of settings, a lot of options. And for those that are really interested, I know there's a lot of people who want to share Loop experience, and we'll do that in the Loop breakout. But Jim, thanks for joining us.
If I could just
Oh yeah,
run
go ahead, please.
more, a lot of people think it's the Wild West in
Yeah,
the what I call the open source community, but it really is not. Now, I can't speak to all the algorithms, but in terms of Trio and Loop, there is a lot of QA. There's a lot of reviewing before anything is ever released to the into the main branch or the general public. So that's
great
one thing
point.
that's really impressed me with the community is they really don't just, oh, let's make a change and there it is. No, it's
And I can also say very active. I know some of you that follow my stories, when I forgot to bring whatever it was, a pump or something, and to Portugal, and I'm like frying there, and my loop, I think you have to reset it at a certain time, and I didn't reset it, and I had to build it, which I couldn't do through firewalls. And I was kind of saved by one of our Sangha members, Sabella, who's like, "Don't fret, just open my build and you'll be on your way." And so it's tremendous support within the community 24/7 online. So that's really helpful. All right. The flip side, not the flip side of this, but something that is definitely connected would be the tide pool conversation. So I was very excited about tide pool when they talked about coming out with this new algorithm. So Alan, if you could speak to that, kind of top line that for us, and I think you and Jim will be in the same breakout as well. So that could be a really interesting conversation.
Yeah, no, happy to be here and great to see so many familiar faces from the West Coast retreat. Um, just for those that don't know me, Alan Kitzik, I have lived with diabetes type 1 for over 21 years. My sister also lives with type 1. And so, as Egos was saying earlier, definitely get tested. Since I had diabetes first, my sister was able to benefit from all the knowledge that I had. And I think that's the beauty of this community too, right? Is to benefit from all the knowledge. I'm also a Loop user, so thank you, Jim, for sharing that information. And I was diagnosed at a time when I didn't have insurance, so access was something that was really important to me and is really important to me. I navigated clinical trials back then to get access, and got on a Dexcom. It was a 3-day Dexcom back then via clinical trials, and so much has changed since then. But I'm someone that's pretty much tried almost every device out there except for Senseonics, from the iLet to Tandem pumps to um, Medtronic devices, and so on and so on. IAPS. I haven't tried Trio yet, but really am enjoying Loop. If you're not familiar with Typeable, we make diabetes data more meaningful. We connect that data to healthcare professionals so they can get a 360-degree view of how you're doing with diabetes. And then that diabetes data is also used to shape research in the future, whether it's clinical research or real world evidence, to kind of basically create the next generation of algorithms. And we actually work very closely with the do-it-yourself community to open source organizations. So everything that we do is put into the open source. And what most people don't know as well is it's like different repos that exist for, that basically builds the algorithms as well. And so everything that Tidepool is doing with the Tidepool Loop also benefits Loop and vice versa. If you're not familiar with the story of Tidepool Loop, we essentially took the do-it-yourself loop and brought it through the FDA process to get it FDA regulated. One of the main differences from the plus side, you don't have to do the build. But one of the negative sides is the auto bolus. Right now, there's not an auto bolus on Tidepool Loop. It's currently being used by Twist, so SQL Twist. But one of the goals of Typeable is to have the individual be able to choose the algorithm, the individual to be able to choose their device, whether it's a pump or a CGM. So it's all about interoperability. And a couple other things I'd point out about Typeable as well is that right now the 1.0 is on the market. Basically, we're working on the 510(k), going through the FDA process to actually make it basically identical to what is currently the do-it-yourself loop. That's called 2.0, and we're also working on 3.0, which is no meal announcements, and so that's gonna leapfrog the do-it-yourself loop, and then eventually the do-it-yourself loop will actually catch up because we work together. But a couple things that I'll just share. I manage device partnerships too at Typeable, so I work with all the device companies. I really appreciate all the work that industry does on creating their algorithms, but they also lock it up in their devices, and unfortunately, a lot of us don't have the means to pay for a device if you don't have insurance or whatnot. It also locks you into a warranty, for a couple of years, and so we definitely encourage, use a Typeable loop, but also if you don't have the means, use the do-it-yourself loop because, we want everybody to have the benefit of insulin, device that, therapy and pump therapy, AID therapy in general. I benefited from it greatly. I think I actually take a GLP-1 too, and right now I'm not taking, I don't have to bolus. It's automatically correcting for me. I don't think that's going to be forever, but it's one great thing about taking a GLP-1 and using the Typeable loop because the algorithm, the auto bolus really helps, kind of keep it in range and doing pretty well with it too. That is not, that feature, that auto bolus is not available with Typeable loop just yet. But if you're not using Tidepool in general as a like for your healthcare professionals, see your data, I definitely recommend doing that. It's free for healthcare professionals. and people with diabetes. So definitely, try your best to use Typeable to share that, and that data, is also going to help create more innovation in the space as well. Not sure, Peter, if there's anything else you'd like, for me to
Yeah, I
speak
know. I
to
think
when it
that's
comes to Typeable, but
definitely a good overview, Alan. I know we talked earlier. I know I think the one approved pump, if I'm not mistaken, is Twist.
yes,
And there could be some conversation about that as well, because I know some folks are using it, some folks are switching to that. And I believe, and going back to the conversation with Jim, the one thing that was always attracted to me, I don't know how it works with Twist, but I know with Omnipod, Omnipod's pharmaceutical, correct? It's not going through durable goods. There's no warranty. You can go on it and off it more or less, with obviously with insurance.
yep,
And
yep,
and I don't know if Twist is the same, but
it
don't know
is.
if that's right. It is. So the idea is that these products can be tested a little bit without committing to that 3 year or longer warranty periods which come with pumps, but something just to put that information out there.
Yeah,
And
and I'll just share as well. If anybody
sure.
has any questions about any of the devices, feel free to reach out. I do believe that you should date your technology and not marry your technology. So, that means trying different things and talking to the community
Great.
and learning from yourself as well. And of
Yeah,
course, we'll be in the breakout section later as well.
awesome. If you want to drop your number there, or if you're I don't know if you're in the WhatsApp group, but a lot of us are in the WhatsApp group, and we might open up a pump and technology chat since there's so much interest in that. With that, I'd like to introduce Jan. I'm going to save you for the end because it's CGM. But Robin, if you could just top line again, the Tandem, because so much has been talked about with Tandem, Control IQ. And I can see in the poll, the majority or the most people I think are on that. Poll has disappeared on my screen, but yeah, 32%
Oh,
of us are on Tandem Control IQ combination. So thanks, Robin, for joining in today.
sure. I'm trying to share my screen just to, can you see it?
I cannot see it.
No. Okay, I'll try one more time. If I can't, I'll just talk.
Yeah,
But
talking's
I'm an
talking's good.
educator, so I'm a fan of the visual options. Okay, trying one more time. Okay.
There you go. Thanks,
Yeah?
Robin. Yep.
Okay, now you can just see my desktop. All right. Can you see Tandem reports?
Yes.
Okay, great. So this is real life from yesterday. You all get to see what happened to my blood sugar yesterday. And the reason I wanted to share is because this sort of indicates for me some of the highlights that I've experienced with Tandem. I'm not a salesperson for Tandem. I literally just have diabetes. I've had it for almost 40 years. I switched to Tandem IQ 4 years ago, and I've had the G7 sensor, I think for 10 years, maybe less, 8 years. So some of the highlights for me with Tandem is the Control IQ algorithm, which still gives me some some control. But it's also gently supporting me along the way, and I can show you what that means in a minute. Also, charging is not with a battery, it's with I plug it into the wall. I like that I can control either from the pump or from my phone app. And the sleep and exercise modes have been very useful. So I don't want to take too long, but the algorithm I mentioned before, it's like constantly aiming to keep me at 110 milligrams per deciliter of glucose. And if it's anywhere outside of that, I'm getting these tiny increments of basal adjustments. And you can see at the bottom, if you can see this, at the bottom, there are all these tiny blue columns. The blue horizontal line, this one that says 0.7, that's the basal rate that I've indicated for the pump. But then sometimes it's going above there, sometimes it's going below there, and sometimes it drops off completely. And that's all dependent on the glucose readings. So that's been really helpful. Of course, I'm also constantly adjusting with 40 years of type 1 diabetes. I feel like, oh, it's going low. I'm going to cut some insulin, or I'm going to have a little snack. It's going high. I'm going to take a little bolus. But the pump is doing a lot of that for me. So we're like a little team, keeping my blood sugar in control, which is cool. And then what else did I say? I like that I can plug it into the wall. I had an experience when I was on Medtronic where I was on an airplane and my pump ran out of battery power, and I was suddenly like, I don't think I have a battery in my carry-on. I did, as it turned out, but now I'm not so worried about that. I can plug it in to a power source. And then, yeah, the sleep mode, it adjusts, it just makes these adjustments slightly more aggressive. So keeping your blood sugar at a slightly higher rate, but like I think it's not 110, maybe 120. I could be wrong, but again, I'm not a salesperson and you're not quoting me on this, so something like that. But the sleep mode has helped me not drop low, not like wake up and have to eat a snack from lows as often. And the exercise mode, you can literally just tell it you're exercising for how long and for like what % of your basal that you want it to be cutting, and then you're good. So those are my highlights for Tandem.
Cool,
And I
Robin.
can
Thank you.
stop sharing.
Yeah, and just a question on exercise mode, and then we'll move on.
Yeah.
Are you able to set different, like I know in looping I have one for yoga, I have one for hiking, and I have one for swimming. Can you set different modes, or I think
I don't think so. I just
okay,
always say like how much time and how
how much
much
left? Okay,
percentage. Yeah,
yeah,
but that's
and
so fun.
I think
I'll have to
again,
check.
I think that may be some of the differences between the do-it-yourself community and some of the other algorithms out there with the flexibility, perhaps, in how you can use different settings. But
Mhm.
a great overview. Thanks. Thanks for coming in last minute. I know we spoke earlier today as well. And
Yeah,
Gian,
just to be clear, the answer is no. I don't have a setting for yoga or swimming.
okay, awesome. Thanks. We know Control IQ is relatively new, right? And it's a few years in the market.
Mhm.
And people absolutely do love it. Jan, can you give us a top line on Eversense? I know you've been using it Eversense for several years now. Um, so a lot of people are interested in that technology, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of new changes to it also.
Yes. So, hi everyone. I'm Jeanne. I've had type 1 diabetes for 8 years. I was diagnosed as an adult, so at 23. That's when I was diagnosed. And so I went on Eversense probably I was diagnosed in 2018. So in April 2018, and I went on Eversense in December of 2019. So I have been diagnosed at that point for a year and a half, I guess, and I did not like any of the short-term CGMs. I had the Libre when it was the 12-hour warm-up, if y'all remember that. And then I had the Dexcom G6, and I just didn't like it. And I found out about Eversense at a conference, and the guy that was there was a type 1 himself. He was wearing it. And I went back to my endocrinologist and I said, I want to try this. If I don't like it, I don't like it. I can go back to whatever. I can find something else. And at that point, Eversense was 3 months. So just to give you a brief overview of what Eversense is, it's the only long-term implantable CGM on the market. So yes, it sits right underneath my skin. If you see me in person, I do let you touch where it is because you can kind of feel it through it, but it is not. Oh, and then the transmitter, so the sensor is implanted and the transmitter sits on top of the skin with a double-sided adhesive that's silicone, which not a lot of people have reactions to silicone as much as they have the reactions to the other adhesives. There's on-body vibrations, so there's no loud alarms. You can get it on your phone. I mean, alarms are going to pop up on your phone, but you can silence them. It is different vibrations based on if you're high, low, or going low. And then if you're actually 55 or below, it'll do 6 long vibrations. So I have experienced that a few times. To me, it's been really accurate for me, which is why I have been on it for so long. So like I said, it was initially 3 months, and then it was 6 months, and now for the past 2 years, we call it the Eversense 365, the third version of it. Lasts for a whole year. So you don't have to worry about any changes to it, just once a year. Now you're probably asking, okay, well, how does it get under your skin, Jan? How does that happen? And it's just a very small procedure that occurs. So it's a very small slit in your skin, and the transmitter just slides right in there. The worst part about it, I tell people, is the lidocaine it takes to numb the area, but they can insert and remove that sensor within 60 seconds. So it's not a long procedure at all, and there's no stitches involved. It's steri strips that they use, and then Tegaderm on top, and you let it heal for about 5 days. And then that's when you can take it off, and it should be healed by then. The spot should be healed, but the warm up is only 24 hours. So after it's inserted underneath your skin, you just let it warm up for 24 hours, and then you start the 4 calibration process, which is what we call it. And basically, you turn your transmitter on, you put it on top of you have a placement guide in your app that tells you like where the sensor is, and you place it on top, and then you start doing 4 finger pricks in about a 6 to 8 hour time frame. And then you'll have readings after the second calibration that you do. And then you calibrate it daily for 13 days after that, and then it's once a week. So I think that's a really good overview of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing technology, highly accurate from what I know. And also, I believe it vibrates, right? There's a vibrate mode on it.
Yeah,
So
so
you can,
vibration. And I actually am also a Twist user, and Twist is the only insulin pump that works with Eversense. So I know I know it's a long time coming for a closed loop system for us. But I refuse to go on a closed loop system because I don't like the other CGMs. I don't like the other short-term CGMs. I really stuck with Eversense.
The open source, it does take Eversense. I don't mean to interrupt, but
Yes, they
no,
do.
thanks,
I had
Jim.
one question, and it's more, are endos doing this, or who does
Who does the procedure?
Yeah,
I meant,
not every endo does it. You know, the Eversense sort of wants you to do 5 to show proficiency, which I think is a really good idea. And so in our neck of the woods, we've got a couple of APRNs that are sort of becoming the gurus for it. So all of us in different practices are referring to her. One thing that I think is worth mentioning is that all of our CGMs day one is really squirrely, just from the fact that the insertion, even though it's getting less traumatic every generation, it still is traumatic. So you get all those inflammatory cells, and so day one with Libre or Dexcom is really sometimes you got to throw them out because they're going to be falsely low. With this, you have day one a year. and that's it. So I mean that's a potential benefit that is pretty big.
And no compression lows, guys.
No compression lows. I don't like calling them compression lows because they're not lows. So I like calling them compression artifact.
I have a quick question also with the Eversense. So, like with the Libre 3 Plus and Twist, you can't calibrate that. So, if your pump is if your meter is reading wrong, you can't stop the insulin from going in. And I'm wondering with Eversense if you sense, maybe it's higher and you feel low and you prick and you're like, I am low. Can you calibrate Eversense to make it?
Yeah, so yes, you can, Laura. Short answer. So with Eversense, you will calibrate the first 13 days that you were on that sensor with the CGM. So once a day for 13 days, and then you go to once a week calibrations with Eversense.
But
And
you've never
so
had it be off where you had to calibrate outside those days.
I do that occasionally. So I call it, I spot check Eversense. And if I feel it's more than 20 or 30 points off, I do calibrate it because
Okay.
a lot of times when I am spot checking it, I'm within like 10 to 15 points of
Okay.
the meter, which I think also gives me a lot of confidence in it. I say we outgrew, but with the 3 month and the 6 month, you had to calibrate it every day. But what it also will do is say, Laura, for example, it's like really off. Okay, and you insert that calibration into the Eversense app. And if it's really off, it'll say, hey, in 60 minutes, calibrate again because it's trying to correct itself. So I do like Libre, but the downside of that is you can't calibrate it.
Yeah,
Also,
no.
Twist, what I do is I go in and I turn off loop and I enter in my finger stick glucose and then turn it back on and it
Yeah.
usually
I'm gonna
corrects
do
itself.
that.
All
So
right. Jan, I appreciate that. And Laura, I appreciate the question. This is what I'm thinking, if this is okay. Number one, I put a few people asked me for the WhatsApp chat. You can click on that link to join the WhatsApp group chat that we have at Diabetes Sangha. And I know this, we could probably go on for a while, and I would love to open this up, but I think if we can go into the breakout group, so we'll maybe spend 10 minutes there. I think if you have focused questions, there's a lot of learning here and sharing. I know there's a lot of, we're all experts. We all have something to share. So in the breakout groups, it's really inviting you to share your experiences with others. If you have questions for anyone, either the people that led the spotlights tonight or just each other. And maybe you want to learn about a different pump or technique. So the groups are do-it-yourself and Typool, CGMs and Eversense, and that could also be Dexcom conversations. We didn't have anyone here from Dexcom, but there's a lot of questions and experience there. Tandem and Control IQ. Uh, any pump questions with Eggles? Eggles, I included you in there, so if that's okay. And I also added Omnipod. I know a lot of us are on Omnipod. It wasn't part of the conversation. So I'm going to open the rooms.
Hey,
And
one thing,
yeah,
Peter.
sure.
I'm a big MDII guy too, which is like sacrilege amongst type 1 groups. But if anybody wants to talk about injecting insulin old school way, come on in.
Yeah, and that's a great conversation. And just on that, Eggles as well. MDI, we understand there are folks here on MDI. I was on MDI 3 years ago, and it's a yeah, thanks, Anna. And it's a little scary sometimes making that change. Also, so great point. Let's see. Do we all see the breakout rooms?
No.
Was that a no?
Oh, wait.
No.
I don't see anything.
Let's see how I can do this.
okay, so on the bottom of your Zoom bar, guys, there is I think it's like a more, like a three little dots and more. You're gonna press that.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna see the breakout rooms and you're gonna see the list.
But
Oh,
it's
You're gonna
breakout
say join.
rooms.
all
Yes.
right.
Okay, got it.
Good. Is that cool? So
Mhm.
join one of the 5 breakout rooms.
Sorry, Peter, did you say we'll have a chance to go into different ones as well?
Yeah, I think you could pop in and out. You come back to the main group and then join another group, I believe, with
Okay,
breakouts.
we have time.
Okay. So thanks all. See you in a few minutes.
Sorry, Peter, I assume there's not AI in the breakout rooms just to hear that.
That's correct.
Okay.
Just open conversations. And if you want to hang out here for whatever reason, I'll be here. If you need help, let me know.
Where is the breakout room again?
Sure.
How
If
I
you go
find that?
to on the bottom, the more, you might see
Yeah,
on the bottom of your screen.
yeah.
Okay, and this should be a breakout icon.
I don't have a breakout icon. I have record, docs, notes, whiteboard, transfer.
Hmm.
Oh, is it transfer?
I
No.
see. You should have it. I might be able to assign you, Jennifer. I can assign you. Would you like to go to which room?
Um, what are my choices again?
I can assign you looping, Eversense, Tandem, Omnipod,
Oh,
and time with Eggles.
Eversense would be great. Thank you.
Okay, sure thing. All right. You should be there. Do you see a way to go there? There we go.
Why are we still here?
No, I think we're in the main room, but I don't think anybody is in this room.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, but we're in the main room. No, just nobody's in here.
I can't, I can't join another room. I'm gonna just duck out. But thank you very much for your sharing of information. Take care.
Welcome. Bye.
I think some people stayed in the room.
Oh, sorry, I just sent a message to everybody that we're joining back here, and absolutely could have gone on for quite a while. Really good to see the interest in this topic and just connecting, having conversations. Okay, a few more are coming back. All right, welcome back, everyone. Big thanks to all those the spotlight chats and for folks sticking around. This meeting room can stay open if you want to stay here and chat and connect. I know if I don't get food, I will pass out on this screen, so I will be exiting. But I'll leave the meeting room open. And if there's any ideas that you do have, because I'll read the chat on, hey, let's do this again, or let's have a focused on loop, whatever it is, you can leave comments there in the chat. You can leave them in the WhatsApp main group because a lot of us will read it there as well. But clearly, I just love the fact that we're all getting together in so many different ways. And that's a big part of the Diabetes Sangha. So just thanks for sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, your care. We can learn so much from each other. I learned so much tonight also. Yeah, anyone also wants to say anything? It is an open forum. We wanted to do that, but we didn't have a chance tonight. But anyone want to share anything here?
It's huge thanks to all the presenters and Peter for putting it together. It's really, really powerful. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so happy to
thank you.
participate
And
together.
what I love about the Sangha is that it represents real life, every aspect of who we are. And that's what makes it such a blessing.
Thank you, Karen.
Everyone.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to some sittings, so I will be joining that.
Yeah,
So
check out the
every
calendar,
food.
Dan. It's on our website. Love to see you there. Today is Tuesday. We do have tomorrow night with Brooke or Sam, I believe, and I think it's Brooke. And Thursday mornings we do the silent sits. Right now they're 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. Eastern. And Friday the session with Sam on Friday now at 11 o'clock Eastern. So hope to see you all on the circuit. And again, thanks Eggles and any other Jim, Jan. Thank you all for your wisdom, and Alan, thank you.
Thank
Take care
you,
all.
Peter.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
thank
Peter.
you.
Thanks,
Good night, everybody.
Thank
everyone.
you all.
Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good evening. Bye.
Oh, I had just one more comment I was going to
Sure.
make previously. We were talking about spouses having a higher stress dealing with lows, and one person saying, to use insulin instead of sugar when it was needed. We had an incident where someone was hiking with type 1 and got into an insulin reaction, and the passersby gave him insulin with tragic outcomes. So after that, I would just put in directions everywhere in pockets or whatever where the medicine is. Don't basically sugar is necessary if you find these. So I'm sure people are doing that a lot, but I just wanted to put a reminder in just because
No,
the
it's
general public is not aware.
not
So,
at all. And usually we know everyone says, "Oh, uh, you're low, you need insulin." We hear that all the time. Like the general public is not aware, and it can be
yeah.
quite dangerous. I myself have no markers that I'm T1D. I should have a little wristlet, which I'm thinking of getting, but great advice, Ellen.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank
Uh,
you. Yeah.
Thanks, Lucia. Great seeing you.
Great to
Nicole,
see you.
Thank you.
wonderful. And have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye bye.